storms in the area, so I wasn't even sure if I'd be able to do it tonight. Sorry. Thanks for joining again. Let me give everybody a second to get in. Hopefully this will work better. Hopefully this connection is better for everybody. Although, give me just a second to plug in my phone or I'm going to lose service soon. Ugh. Alright. Although, that's not working. Hopefully I won't lose power. Okay. Oh, good. That's better. I can see it clearer here anyway. Okay. So yesterday, for those of you who saw the scope, I talked about doing words on using your Silhouette to make words and to copy word images that you found already put together. Like, say somebody had a logo that was just words, or a file that was already words, like happy birthday or something that you found. Today, I'm going to talk about doing backgrounds. And this is pretty easy. For those of you who weren't able to catch the one from yesterday, I was saying this, but I don't know if you heard me, but I am uploading that to my YouTube channel. I didn't select replay, so it's not open for replay, but I am loading it on my YouTube channel. So if you don't follow me on YouTube, follow my YouTube channel. As you can see, it's just taking a very long time because we are having some storms in the area. So it is taking 740 minutes. So maybe tomorrow it'll be up there and I'll try to load both of them, but they will be available on my YouTube channel. Okay, so on with today. So this is an example of, these are just rectangle boxes. I mean square boxes. I always start a stencil. My YouTube channel is Crumbles by Nicole. I always start a stencil with a 5 by 5 inch box, and that is because I always intend to use my stencils with a Stencil Genie, and that is the size square that you will need the outside of the stencil to be at least that size to get in. Plus, this is a 12 by 12 mat. I can fit 4 stencils on one sheet, so I can cut 4 stencils at the same time. For backgrounds, and I thought I would do some festive ones. Oh, hold on, let me find my internet access. Okay, so I thought since St. Patrick's Day was coming up, I just Googled some shamrocks. And I found this one that has 5, and I'm just going to do a sheet of shamrocks. And so I will copy that image of the shamrocks that has 5 in it. And sometimes you can find one that's like a whole sheet. Like here's one that has 6, and they have some different sized ones there. There's one that's like a page of all different kinds of sized shamrocks. So just whatever meets your fancy. But I'm going to go with the one that has 5, and then I'm just going to copy and paste that a bunch of different times on a sheet to make a stencil. So I'm going to paste that picture, and as you can see, it came right up. All right. And then I am going to paste it again, and I am going to and actually, I'm sorry, what I need to do first is I've got that image, and actually I like the size of those shamrocks. Now I am going to need to fill this entire box because this is my Stencil Genie, except I'm going to leave probably about a 1/2 inch border all around the outside that I want to just leave blank because that's going to be the part that the Stencil Genie is going to cover up anyways. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way over to the green trace window. Do you see that green box where my arrow is pointing over on the left-hand side of the screen? And you select that. Then I'm going to select trace area. And then I'm going to go over to the area that I want to trace. Select it in that box. I don't know if you can see that, so let me but if you can kind of see it, there is a yellow outline on the inside of that. So that is just, it's highlighting the areas that have a dark line, right? Then I'm going to come over here. Now, because all I want on these is the outside of that image, I don't want to have double lines around it. So for a background stencil, I am going to select Trace Outer Edge. And then I'm going to take my image and I'm going to move it away. That's the image that I copied. And these are actually cut lines. Those are the actual lines that the that the Silhouette is going to cut for me. So now, So now I have that image. What I want to do is, I don't know what's going on with that. Let me move that square out of the way for a little bit. Oh, I know. I accidentally filled that square white. That's why. I'm going to move the square out of the way, even though that's my Stencil Genie square, because I believe I have that filled, and I don't want that filled. Let's see. Sorry. All right, so I'm going to take this, and I'm going to copy it. And actually, I'm going to fill that with a color. And there's no reason for doing that other than that I want you guys to be able to see it better. Do you see? Well, let me do it green. So let's make it festive, since this is St. Patrick's Day. All right. So I have the green shamrocks. I am going to copy and paste the shamrocks. And I'm going to kind of place them where I want them to go. Now this is if I want, now say I like that, but I might not want them that close together. So what I want to do is, I am going to take them and I am going to erase this one. Those are my kids fighting in the background, sorry. That's the eraser tool. What I just selected was the eraser tool. And after I do that, that's going to make everyone in that group able to be separated. So I'm going to kind of spread them out and create the size of them that I want. Like, you know, like I'm going to make, maybe I'm going to make one of them big. And I'm going to keep these 5 together and make them smaller. And I'm going to take the one and move it. I'm going to keep that one small. And I'm going to make like a little, kind of like a pattern of them. I'm going to put a big one there. I'm going to make this one teeny. And you see I'm just like clicking it and moving it. Okay, the difference is now I can select the path and release the path. But what I want to do, so right now what I'm doing is say I select all of those. Once I get an image that or background that I like, I can select, let me fix that one there. I'm just going to select all of them and say I like that. So I like that. I am going to then, let me scroll down because I don't think you can see it. Down at the very bottom, down at the very bottom there, doggone it. Sorry. Why does it keep doing that? My screen is touch sensitive, sorry. All right, can you see? No, it will not let me do it. All right, I'm gonna have to move my phone down so you can see it. Sorry. I'm trying, but it keeps like, I don't know, it won't let me scroll down. Okay, so down here, I can select to group those selected shapes together, and then it will be one image. And then I can, like, when I do that, I can, you know, change the shape of them all together, you know, as one image. If I want them to be separate, then I'll ungroup those images, and that will release them so that then I can, you know, move them wherever I want to move them. Okay. Now, this is a more difficult, not that this is difficult because it's really not. And do you see how I always keep a blank square? So I'll just keep it so I can copy and paste. Sorry, now let me find where I am. That's just an open paste, my square there. So like that would be more difficult because you've got to move them around and play with them and find what size you like. And if you like them small or big and move them into place. But still not very difficult. Then in the end, I could cut that and all of these, copy, paste. I can move some more on there if I want to make some bigger ones or spread them out wider, however I want it. And then I can cut that. And that will cut out with the background of all of the shamrocks. Now, an easier way to do a pattern, that's for one that like you can't find a pattern that's already made online. However, if you're doing any of the standard patterns, for instance, the ever popular chevron, you can see I've already done a search for chevron pattern. I go to images. It's always going to work best with a clean black and white image. So I'm looking at the chevron. I see this one is wide and short. This one is already in a square shape, which is great if you're going to be using the Stencil Genie. This one is a wider pattern, but I'm going to go with this one, which is a like a medium-sized chevron. It's not quite as skinny as like this one, but you can choose whatever size you want. So this one's going to be like the easiest kind of pattern to do. So if you wanted to do polka dots or hearts or any of those kind of patterns, you could just Google that pattern and you would probably find one that's already made. So then I'm going to paste my chevron in. And I am going to drag that to the size of right inside of my shape that's a square that's already pre-made for the Stencil Genie. So it's just about a ½ inch on the inside of a 5 by 5 inch square. Now you see that red square, it's 5 by 5 inches. So on the inside, I have that shape at 5 inches all around. So it's going to be about a ½ inch border all around. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go up to open the trace window, select that, select the traced area. And I'm just going to come right to the edge of it. And then there's a little teeny bit of black up top. I'm going to get rid of that because I don't need that. The sheets that I use are 0.007 mil. And then for backgrounds, remember I'm going to choose, now yesterday we talked about words, and for words you want to choose the top trace. But for backgrounds, you want to trace the outer edge. And then I'm just simply going to move my, oops, I'm accidentally moved my, I am going to move, And let me fill that so you can see it. Because actually I think I can get a cleaner cut than that. But I'll show you how to do that. Okay. So I'm actually going to do that again because what that did, the way that's going to cut is I'm going to have, you see that part that's white? That's still going to be the stencil. And I don't want that. I can fix that and I can show you how to fix it, but let me see if I trace it again and take off the high resolution path. If it'll work better. So trace, trace. Yeah, I should have looked at that. All right, so sorry, I should have did this before. This is without taking off the high pass filter. Now, when I take off the high pass filter, you see, you want as much yellow showing as possible when you trace the outline. And that means that that whole area is going to be a removable piece. That whole area that's yellow is going to be removable. So now that I've selected that, sorry, I'm going to trace outer edge. Then move my, picture out of the way. And boom, there we go. And let me fill that in so you can see the difference. So when it cuts, all the area that's red is going to be cut out, and that would be the area of your stencil. Here, same thing. All of these green spots would be your stencil background. Anybody have any questions? I can delete that one because that one wasn't a good one. Anybody have any questions? Also, in the Silhouette store, which is this button, which I can't access. I was going to pull the images from there tonight, but for some reason it's not letting me go to the Silhouette store. I tried to call the hotline, but they were closed tonight. So it's not letting me go to the Silhouette store, but the Silhouette store has a lot of background images. Cut pictures like how? Pinky. So you would cut a picture. If you just need the outline of it, you would cut it the same way I did the 4-leaf clovers. However, if you're talking about like how to do a like paint your own cookie, like from a picture, I need some information. Oh, sorry. Okay. All right. Well, if nobody has any questions, tomorrow I will do a, I don't know if it'll be tomorrow or the next day, I'll do a how to paint your own. I am using the Silhouette Cameo. The Cameo and the Portrait are very similar, except the Cameo is better because it has a, you can do 4 at a time. The Portrait is 8x10 cut screen. You said, how do I cut each stencil? Okay, so now that I'm done, I am going to be saving these videos to YouTube. However, they are taking forever to load for some strange reason. I think I chose high definition or something, and it's taking like 2 days, 720 hours or something to do it. Cameo is better than you will have less wasted material with the Cameo. If you're buying a 12x12 acetate sheet, then you're going to have to cut 4 inches off that. So it's easier, I think, to do it with the Cameo because the 12x12 is perfect for cutting 2 stencils with no leftovers. With no, just a little bit of waste material. This program does come with the Cameo. And then to print, if I wanted to cut these, I would go into cut settings. I use the chipboard setting, send to Silhouette, and then I would have a stencil, depending on the difficulty, 5 to 40 minutes. I use the Stencil Genie with airbrushing and Royal, both. I can't say, I want to say I don't ever stencil without it. The Silhouette software is free. However, this is the designer edition, which I recommend because the designer edition comes with this handy dandy tool at top, which is a ruler. And the regular one does not. So you kind of have to play it by ear if you don't go with the design tool. So I tried it without the design tool for like 45 minutes and then was like, hey, let me go ahead and do it. When the stencil is finished, how do you cut each one? So after I'm done now, I'll hit send, and it's actually going to cut. Hold on, I'll move you over to my machine. It's going to cut on this machine here. See how I leave it loaded? That's because yesterday, I cut 2 from the bottom. And I just left it in there. So then today I can cut 2 from the top. The Silhouette and the Cricut. The difference is with the Silhouette, you see how I was able to go to Google, find an image, and cut it myself. I think that's more difficult with the Cricut. However, somebody told me that there's a new Cricut where you can look online and get images and stuff like that too. I know my friend who has a Cricut, it's an older Cricut, and she has to use cartridges and things like that she buys from Cricut, which means that a lot of images you won't be able to use to make, like I do a lot of, these are some of the ones that I did. But I did a National Guard one and a Landmark Dodge one for an order I had for the National Guard and for some people who work at Landmark Dodge. And I wouldn't have been able to necessarily do that on the Cricut. After I'm done and I send this to cut, it's going to cut on the sheet like this. This is the one I made yesterday. This was Born to Sparkle, and I cut that one yesterday. Well, you know, it's a lot of them are easy for me because I've been doing it for a while. It just takes some getting used to. So if you are techno savvy, it's not super, super difficult. If you have a hard time just doing, like, you know, simple things on the computer, it's not that it's impossible. It just probably will take you a little bit more time. But that's an example of one. And for those yesterday that were on the scope yesterday, I talked about not what happens if you don't make cut lines. Do you see how on this one I didn't make cut lines? And this is actually a scrap stencil, but I don't throw anything away because I'm like, I can use it for my cookies that I do for myself. But you see how the B doesn't have that little, so when it makes it, it won't have that part of the O fell out, and the inside of the A fell out there, and the inside of the O fell out. But that's why you need those little cut lines to keep all those little centerpieces in. So see how this O up here has the centerpiece, and this one here doesn't? That's what happens when you don't make cut lines. And that was from the first one that I did yesterday. So that'll be up on my YouTube channel. But if y'all don't have any questions, I am using 0.007. You're welcome. Thank y'all for joining. Anytime. The acetate, you can get it from Amazon. It's probably the best place if you're not doing it in bulk, because yeah. And Amazon. You can get it on a roll. It's a huge roll. It's expensive. My new one just came yesterday. This is what, I can show you what it looks like. I showed in the, you can use that. Or, yes, I did the slicing tool on the letters yesterday. Yes, I did. There's also this, and I think a lot of people use this. This is graphics plastic sheets. Yes, the letters is on yesterday. Yeah, that's not bad. I just make sure you're looking at what you get, because I don't think it comes 8x8 sheets for the portrait. And when a couple of years ago, these were considered food safe. However, something has changed, and I don't know if they are now, but I don't believe they are. So just look at what you're getting, because acetate is really what you want to get. That's food safe. It costs a little bit more, but you know, just look at the products and before you get them. All right, that's it. Yes, I am Crumbles by Nicole on YouTube, and I am uploading the videos. It's just taking forever. So I'm at 27%. Hopefully we won't lose power tonight, and this one will be at tomorrow. That's the one from yesterday where I worked on wording. And then today's is backgrounds. And the next one will be paint your own. I'll start with a simple paint your own. I think I'm going to do a rainbow. And then I'll do a more difficult one after that, because that one is probably the most difficult thing of all of this. That's the most difficult, is probably paint your own, once you learn how to do the other stuff, it's pretty easy. You're welcome, guys. Thanks a lot. You're welcome, Robin. Y'all have a good night. I'm going to go make some cookies. Lord help me. Night, y'all.